Hi, and welcome back to the Lil Will Learning Company. So, why does music education even matter? What's the point? Well, we know a lot of positive benefits that music has on students, and we actually know a lot of positive benefits that music education has not only on students, but then also when they later become adults. But here's the harsh reality: music in education, especially in schools, is treated as enrichment. It's not treated as something that's a necessity. And because it's treated as enrichment, usually when it comes time to set budgets or cut budgets, music is one of the first things to go. And quite frankly, it's hard to find really well trained and very skilled teachers to teach music. But the unfortunate reality also is that if done well and done correctly, music is not just enrichment, it is an incredibly powerful development tool, program, whatever you want to call it. But the development it has on students is tremendous. It's involving so many skills at once. Ultimately, music education is not just enrichment, it's cognitive training to a very intense degree. So, what exactly does music do to the brain? I mean, it does many things all at once. First, there is the reading of music and music notes and music notation, and it's basically pattern recognition, it's pattern translation. Then, when it comes to actually playing music, there's the timing involved, and not only being in time with the music, but then being in timing with your other musicians at the same time. In order to have that timing be correct and to play the correct notes, you need tremendous amounts of motor coordination and fine motor skills, especially in the fingers. And while playing and also while practicing, there is listening involved, very intense and intent listening involved. And if you do make mistakes, you have to self correct. There's no one waiting to tell you, like, hey, you should do it like this or that. While there is that, a lot of musicians in the moment go, well, I played a B flat instead of a C sharp. So they have to instantly correct it. Playing music and playing it well, there's very few activities that involve so many skills and so many skills that are heavily demanding of the brain and motor skills and pattern recognition all at the same time. When doing music education, the benefits are it tremendously helps any student's working memory. It greatly improves their attention span and impulse control. It sharpens their auditory processing. It demands use of both the left and right hemispheres of their brain at the same time. And ultimately, it trains a tremendous amount of discipline in them and delaying gratification. No one's ever good at an instrument, and no one's ever good at music right off the bat. The benefits of music for students and kids and their cognitive training, it doesn't just end there. They carry those benefits with them into their adulthood. It's been shown through numerous research that students who stuck with music, and not just like a little bit of music here, a little bit of music there, we're talking real music training to where they can play an instrument, they can play with others, they can play complicated pieces. Basically, as an adult, they have better focus, they have a better working memory, and they do much better being persistent with difficult tasks. Basically, they stick with it longer, even when it becomes more difficult. And that's the beauty of music. It doesn't just create these great musical students, it creates highly capable adults. Now that we know all these tremendous benefits, why don't we see more of it in schools? Now, these are fair problems to bring up. I'm not trying to create excuses. They're real problems. But first and foremost, music education is expensive. Instruments are expensive. And as someone who's worked with students who's helped them learn guitar and keyboard and the drums, it's not like the money appears out of nowhere. And instruments are expensive, and it takes many years to build up a good collection of instruments. And then from there, it does take money to maintain them, to replace broken instruments, to replace strings that break. It costs money, and it's just not cheap. Also, it's hard finding good, capable, strong teachers who teach music. Because the truth is, if someone is that good at music, they could make more money doing other careers involving music. And it's tough to find teachers who just teach music, and that is their only thing. And then more realistically, what happens is you have a teacher who does teach music, but then a district has them working between multiple sites and multiple schools, teaching multiple programs. I mean, they are spread thin. It's very rare to find someone who's just a music teacher at just one school site location. The part that unfortunately is also true, but a lot of staff funding, school funding, you name it, school reputation, it comes back to test scores and standardized tests. And the benefits of music that I've described so far, they don't show up on standardized tests. They just don't. They show up later in life and they show up on the student at that moment. But on standardized tests, all that money that the school district spent on those teachers and instruments and all that, they don't see it on those standardized tests. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of their funding and reputation is going to come from. I do have some suggestions for some realistic solutions. And this has been brought forth by a few other educators as well, or those who just look at education as a whole, which is instead of having these specialized music teachers, probably another simpler method would be just to teach the classroom teachers how to play music. Now, this does not mean that you're going to have full on orchestra. So there is a drawback to this in one sense. You're not going to have full on orchestras or concerts like that. But music itself is fairly simple. There's timing, there's basically notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you just learn some octaves from there. And you can really just learn on a simple instrument like a recorder. Now, will you have these amazing concerts with recorders? No, probably not. But a student can learn timing. They can learn the discipline required of practicing an instrument. They will get the benefit of having to learn how to read music and basically symbol translate that into notes and timing and all that as well. They can still learn how to play recorders with other classmates and other musicians. You can still put together pieces of music that are designed for 2 to 3 musicians with those recorders, and therefore, you still get the benefit of the training of music, that cognitive training that's involved. Recorders are cheap. And honestly, teaching teachers how to read music and play a few simple melodies and pieces of songs, and then they just go through it year after year after year. It's not that difficult. It's no more difficult than learning some of the math strategies I've seen teachers go through in professional development. So that's one simple way where you're not paying for these specialized teachers. You already utilize the staff on hand. They can teach a few simple things throughout the year and have each year just kind of build one skill upon the other over time. And students will get the benefit of music training. It won't be the flashiest. It won't be the, oh my goodness, this is so incredible, but you still get some good benefits from it at a fairly realistic, doable cost. Another way to get some good music education for your students or for your own kids is look at what the community offers and look at what churches in the community offer. A lot of churches have music directors who are trained and trained well, and it's worth reaching out to them to see who they know, or if there's anyone within your church who offers maybe some lessons at a reduced cost, maybe even at a free cost. Maybe it's part of Sunday school. Who knows what it may be? But that's a good place to start reaching out to as well. Look at most churches, and you're going to have some trained musicians, and also between reading the hymns every Sunday as well, you get some musical training as well from that. So that's also a very good benefit. Start looking in your community, start looking at your churches. I bet you can start getting some music education starting from there. So as a parent, what would I recommend? Start early. Start having them learn an instrument from an early age. It doesn't have to be the most grand experiment. You don't have to buy a drum set for them, although I'm all for drum sets. But you start with a simple instrument. It could be the guitar, it could be the violin, it could just be a recorder, and that's fine. But something that requires practice, study, and also some discipline and having to improve over time. How often should they practice? 10 to 15 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day is better. An hour a day is incredible. They'll probably be a very good musician within a year or two. But if you had to do what's the bare minimum? 10 to 15 minutes a day, but it has to be every day. That everyday part, that's important. Consistency always beats talent. So you're going to have some students who are going to be talented in music from the start, but consistency will always win. The more someone practices, the more intent their practice is, the more focused their practice is. Over time, day after day after day, that'll be talent every single time. So make music normal in the home. I don't know, sing some hymns at night together, sing some songs at night together. Maybe along with the bedtime story every night, bedtime song every night. That's a good way to go with it. Make music pretty normal at home. And finally, use those community programs, use those churches. Music kind of keeps living on as long as those who know how to play instruments, know how to read music, pass on that knowledge to others. Ultimately, a good music education, it's not just about training musicians. It it's about training habits of the mind. That's why as adults, we still reap those benefits for those of us who have participated in music education. So, to recap, music builds discipline. It builds focus. It builds confidence. And finally, it builds resilience. Those skills transfer over to adulthood. They don't just stay with the instrument and with the kid in that young age. And these skills just quietly compound over time. And by cutting music and cutting arts out of schools, it's not just about cutting enrichment, it's about cutting formation of the child. Music education, it's not just about creating musicians, it's about creating capable, confident, and resilient adults. Well, I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.